Well, folks, my news comes out of Florida. Welcome to the Weird Obscure World podcast.
Born not of royalty or noble birth, not of ingenious research or trustworthy sources.
Definitely not trustworthy sources. Yay.
God bless it. Thank you, Florida.
Alright, so this, I don't know, we could call this guy a jerk off.
Oh, stop it.
He's really pulling at my heartstrings. A Florida man is facing murder charges in the death of 3 of his family members following an alleged fight over, guess what?
Oh, I don't know.
Sending $200,000 to a woman on an adult camera website. What a wanker.
He drained their financial resources for
Oh,
that?
after he drained himself.
Oh, Lord.
Grant Amato, 29, is charged with killing his parents,
What?
Chad Amato, Margaret Amato,
Who did he leave alive to give, like, the actual
and
story?
his brother Cody. They're all of Orlando, Florida, according to the sheriff's office. In an interview with deputies detailed in the arrest warrant, Grant Amato said he and his father got into an argument, and he was previously kicked out of the Chuluota home. Yeah, I stumbled over that nicely. Because he was spending too much money talking to a woman he met in June
$200,000? I am in the wrong profession.
on the website's called Can Girls. She's Bulgarian. Okay, so Jason Amato, Grant's brother, told investigators so there is Jason left alive. He killed Chad and Margaret, his parents, and his brother Cody. But Jason told investigators Grant was talking to an online call girl in Bulgaria and stole $150,000 from Chad, his father.
The animal.
$150,000 to tug on himself. I mean, to pull himself into $150,000 to
People.
how do I put it? So this one, man, there's so many masturbation puns I want to use right now. So anyways, so he stole this money from his father to send to an internet lady in Bulgaria so that she would apparently
Continue to do what she did anyway?
show him her boobs, I guess. I don't know. $150,000, pretty steep. And in Bulgaria, imagine that takes you far.
Well, and what does she look like? Do they have a picture of her?
They do not. They have a picture of him. His picture will be on the website, and apparently, when you look like him, $150,000 is the going rate.
She was like, no, more money.
Yeah. His father told him he needed to complete an internet and sex addiction program. Is it an internet sex addiction program?
Or is it specific to internet, or just do you think?
I don't know. I'm wondering, I mean, is it like AA, but it's SA? You go in there, hi, my name's, dumbass, and, what is his name again? It's sad. Hi, my name's Grant, and I'm addicted to Bulgarian.
So instead of doing that, he killed his family. So he's super smart. Because his dad was like, you stole $150,000. You must complete this online course for internet sex addiction. And instead, he was like, nope, you gotta die.
It's insane. So he went on December 22nd and left early on January 4th. So this sounds like it was a rehab where you go and stay
So he
there.
went?
Yeah.
Do you think they drove him crazy then? He come home like mad, killing
I could only imagine that a sex addiction counselor would drive one crazy.
Yes.
It'd be like a lot of, rubbing yourself off to the internet is bad and okay. It'd be a lot like that.
Repeat after me.
So when he got home, Grant said his father handed him a list of guidelines he needed to follow to remain in the house.
Again?
Including cutting off communications with the woman he met online.
Oh.
And he called her his girlfriend.
I see where this is going. This is a crime of passion.
It's a crime of passion, yes. But he continued to communicate with her, and that started an argument between him and his father. Cody, his brother's girlfriend, told investigators there was a problem with Grant, who she said stole $60,000 from his brother, Cody, and sold his guns without permission. She said Cody...
He's an addict, people. Oh. He is a pure, undeniable, certifiable addict.
This is straight up. She told this story jerks me off. I mean, this story is about a jerk off. So he stole guns. Grant had been kicked out of a nurse anesthesiast school and was unemployed. She said, according to the warrant, her boyfriend told her he got a call Friday from his father Chad saying he needed to come home. She later texted Cody and got a reply that everything was okay, but did not hear from him again. When Cody did get home, or when Cody did show up for work, I'm going to have to do a lot of cutting on this one. Now, I am reading this from the Bradenton Herald, which is a local newspaper down there. So, her boyfriend told her he got a call Friday from his father, Chad, saying he needed to come home. She later texted Cody and got a reply that said everything was okay, but she did not hear from him again. When Cody did not show up for work on Friday, a concerned co-worker asked deputies to perform a welfare check. Deputies arrived Friday morning and noticed 3 vehicles parked at the home on Sultan Circle in Chuluota. 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 In Chupacabra. But no one answered the door, and attempts to reach those inside were not successful. Using a knife to unlock the deadbolt on the back door, deputies entered the home, where they discovered the bodies of Chad, Margaret, and Cody. Deputies knew based on prior experience with those who lived there that Grant Amato also lived in the home and that his car was not parked nearby. According to the arrest warrant, the search began for Grant Amato and a white Honda Accord. The car was found in a hotel in Orange County on Saturday, where Grant Amato was also found in a hotel room. I want to know, was he like when they found him? Was he on the internet with his girlfriend?
What a sad ending to something that was just so unnecessary. Like all of it.
For a pretend relationship?
Yeah, first of all, she's not really your girlfriend. And second of all,
she
lives in Bulgaria. She doesn't need $200,000. You probably could have got away with $2,000 and had the same show.
That is his girlfriend, along with all the other dudes.
And lastly...
I mean, he's scheduled for 2 p.m.s, I'm sure.
Yeah, but dude, it was so unnecessary, dude. You, created all this drama for no reason. You are certifiable. And not just as a sex addict. You are certifiable as a psychotic.
There's no such as sex addiction.
Listen, he is the poster boy for sex addiction.
He's the poster boy for rough.
He's crazy.
He can't.
So I haven't seen his picture, but apparently he's a.
Are you ready?
He's a super handsome guy.
Are you ready?
I'm gonna rate him.
Okay.
A scale of 1 to 10.
Do you want a face on or a sideways?
Face on.
Bam.
Oh, solid 1.2.
1.2? Well,
he has eyes.
Yeah, all his parts are there.
Yeah. 1.2.
2.3.
You dirtbag. He's a 1.2.
That's
dirtbag
That's
is a 1.2.
because you know about what he did. I mean...
Okay, maybe before I knew about what he did.
If this was just a random person, you'd probably give him a 4.
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
I mean...
He's a total creeper.
He looks like a Palladium.
He does. Moving on to our show. Not quite. So I have a news story.
Okay, let's get on with yours. Hopefully yours doesn't tug at my... Hopefully yours doesn't pull on my... Hopefully yours doesn't make me as sad as this one does.
Yeah, what a sad ending. Like, none of that was necessary, dude.
You know, and...
None of that.
In the end, he's going to be in prison. He's not going to have access to the internet. And he's going to lose his girlfriend.
But he will have had plenty of practice in the jerk department. So mine, North Carolina, not that far away from yours. Perhaps he's a transplant to North Carolina, it doesn't say.
Could be.
He could be definitely just have left the crazy state of Florida. North Carolina man is facing multiple charges after being accused of attacking multiple women last Friday.
So he's like a rapist type guy?
Let me tell you what this guy has done. And this is the word they use. He was picked up for thrusting his face into their buttocks. Thrusting.
Hold on. So he would sneak up behind a woman and
listen, people.
Motorboat their butt crack?
Listen, women's butts are not much cleaner than anybody else's butts.
Oh, I'm sure they're a little bit cleaner than the average man, but so he would sneak up behind a woman.
Okay. Stephen Ryan Shuford, 25 years old.
Tell me there's a third or something on that.
There should be. Shuford the third. 25 years old, of Kernsville, North Carolina, was charged with assault on a female and sexual battery after being detained in a shopping center on South Main Street. An officer from Kernsville Police made the claims in an arrest affidavit. As reported, he had approached 3 separate women from behind and forced his face in between their buttocks. Okay, in 2 cases, he allegedly licked them from behind without warning.
Oh, okay, hold on. Like with their pants?
I don't know. The probable cause filing submitted by local police alleged the man unlawfully and willfully did assault and strike a female person by grabbing the victim's hips and thrusting his face into her buttocks. He then pressed his tongue to her buttocks from the outside of her clothing. Can you imagine the level of disdain you would have for said guy? He's got a hold of your hips, he's got his nose right up your crack, and he's licking your pants.
Such a brown noser. Now, you remember that story that came around, that lady that got mad in that game store? Or that lady that was previously a man that got mad in that game store? Did you see that show? That story?
I may have. Sounds familiar. I don't remember the details.
I may have to cut this out because I don't want anyone mad at me, but imagine if you made that mistake.
Yeah, like accidentally grabs some dude, starts licking his pants, the guy turns around and goes, "What's up?" That'd serve him right. I'm telling you, you would not live. You shove your face in my crack and lick my pants, I'm going to beat you within inches of your life. I'm not even going to have to file a report.
Talk about getting a mouthful of gravy.
Gross! And why is this
What did you grab that running lady from a few shows back?
The mad pooper!
Oh my gosh.
She runs into the shopping.
She
hasn't wiped.
Oh.
Yeah. I say that some of the people he may have grabbed is punishment for his crime.
Ooh, was that dinner last night?
Yeah. Disgusting. You sick humans. Humans. So that's my story.
Oh.
Bless it.
I like it. All right. We're on to aliens today.
Yes, we've moved off of Satan, thank God. And we are going to go headlong into alien encounters. We'll start with abduction today. We may cover others later, but today abductions.
Kegels are good for men too.
Yes. And I don't know where I stand on abductions. I've been looking all week for what I would call irrefutable evidence. And I will tell you this. Everything that I've watched, read, heard, listened to, they're committed to the narrative. The people that talk about abductions are from all walks of life, and they're extremely committed to the narrative.
Well, okay. It could be under, say, I imagine 3 different cases. So you've got either an alien did abduct you, A.
Right.
B, you've got a mental break. There's a and not to sound...
Well, we're not being disparaging, it's just...
There are mental breaks in people, and it does cause them to do strange things, or C, that's their grab for money, and they're going to ride it out. But there's so many cases. It could be any of them.
Or all of them.
Along the spectrum. Or all of them.
So, I think the only thing that really grabs hold of me is the number of cases. We're talking 1.5 million different abduction stories. Now, I didn't hear all of them. I would guess they're all pretty similar, but what I did hear amongst them are some common core themes, common core visions. It's kind of like death experiences. They've been happening to people since the beginning of time, just like apparently alien abductions, and they all share this common theme that couldn't have been shared amongst one another, but they're experiencing things that are very similar.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering if alien abductions is a real thing. Okay, and then that brings me to so many questions. Like, why not me? What have I done? If they're looking for intelligent life, am I disqualified because of that? I mean, I don't understand. Not that I'm asking to be probed, but I'm just saying they're so biased in who they choose.
I know, yeah.
Do I have too many teeth?
Maybe the lack of living in a trailer park in Arkansas.
This is and so as I'm looking through these alien abductions, there's people from all walks of life, and we're not talking in any age bracket. What I did find was alien abductions in most cases are first experienced by people at a very young and vulnerable age.
Yeah, and a lot of what I've read is that it's kind of a family thing, which lends back to that psychosis, mental breaks as well, because that runs in families as well.
Or perhaps, the mind was so vulnerable at the young age of 3, 6, whatever it is, that it kind of stuck with you and became this dialogue that you were able to follow through life. Because they talk about, if it starts at 6, they're still 40 years old having these experiences.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's people that talk about their parents told them about them being abducted, and then they're abducted.
Or they're with their parents when they're all abducted.
Yeah,
and that's a narrative that their parents retell them later. And
so they build a narrative around being abducted. Like, there's a lady I would like to do a show on, Niara Isley. She wrote a book, and she's got an extensive story about it. And she talks about how her father also experienced abduction. And the narrative she's built is that she's from a different genealogy, Lumerian or something, and that's why abductions have happened to her family. And so she's got it built up as she's got the DNA in her body that draws abductions in. And
there's also another lady who's got a similar story that I listened to. Hers, although, was more of a contract. Like, her particular species that she is a part of, they are by design sent to Earth to experience the human experience, to be abducted throughout their lives, so that whatever species she's a part of can then, extract that information from her. So the common theme is abductions don't generally happen just one time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To a person, if it happens once, it's kind of like guaranteed that it's going to happen again. And they start when they're very young in most cases. Mm-hmm. So they're super vulnerable to, influences outside of, what they're actually feeling or thinking. And most alien abductions are terrifying.
Yeah, they talk about, and they all have a different reason for it. Some of them are the aliens that abduct us are humans from either an advanced timeline or a different dimension timeline that are trying to gain a knowledge that they've lost, or find where their genes have broken with ours and trying to mix them and interbreeding. There's all these reasons for it that are confusing and kind of shocking to hear.
Well, and in every case, their intelligence and technology advancement is much greater than ours.
Oh yeah.
We are like.
But you're not going to get.
We are like the amoeba at the bottom of the galaxy's barrel.
You're not going to get beamed up by someone who doesn't have a beamer upper, first of all.
Yeah. Well, and then beyond that, these people are experiencing visions within these space communities. In most cases, they have a ship that delivers them to a much larger mothership.
Oh yeah.
That's as large as a city, and there are things happening inside these cities that are just way beyond understanding.
Yeah. And
the common theme is to torture. The secondary theme is the torture is to gain knowledge.
Yeah, the ones I've come across most have been for breeding.
Yes, and specifically in women. But there was a couple of men that actually during hypnosis regressive therapy.
Back to that. That's where all this comes from.
Yeah,
that's where all this. Someone has a problem sleeping. They go talk to and I don't want to disparage, therapists, but it seems like there's a common theme when therapists can get someone into a weakened state, a lot of stuff comes out. And I don't want to say therapists are doing that, but I mean, let's look at the satanic panic. All those children all pointed back to a therapist put them under.
Right. And maybe we should do a show on hypnosis. I've never been hypnotized. I don't know if it's a thing or not. I don't know enough about it.
Do you remember? Well, they used to do that in school.
Yeah, they used to have a hypnotist come, and it was But I've never personally been hypnotized. But I would guess that it's, kind of like a deep state of subconscious where, regressive memories can be tapped into or made up.
Yeah, I've always been confused about that because a close friend of mine was hypnotized in school, and he was hypnotized to believe that another friend of mine, another male, was a female he showed interest in. So he flirted with him. And I don't see him doing that in his normal
voluntarily.
State. Yeah. But then again, what if the hypnotist had it lined up with them and said, hey, play along, this will be fun.
Future show.
Because I could see him doing that.
I want to hire a hypnotist to come here and try it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
now you've got those mentalists. Those guys are interesting. I mean, you watch shows on them and they draw stuff out of people, and a lot of it is
body language.
Well, they're like, pick a card. Imagine a card in your head, and then he'll hold his hands in the shape of a diamond in front of him.
So it's suggestive.
And then he'll do an action a number of times, and next thing you know, that it's a two of diamonds. And the guy's guessed it, he's actually planted it. So mentalists are real interesting. And I don't think they use any magic or they just know how to engage with a person and drop cues.
Well, and I think we use it it's being used on us, and we use it in all walks of our lives. I use it with my children, clearly, all the time. But, for instance...
Until she becomes a teenager, and then
it's over.
You're powerless against
Yes, futile. But it's being used in restaurants. I don't know if you're aware of that. Restaurants choose colors that, on purpose, make you uncomfortable together, so that you will go in, you'll eat, you'll leave. You won't go in and keep the table, because for them, it's the number of turns on that table that makes the money.
That's a fact.
And the way we set product on shelves, I know because I did this for a long time, is to drive sales. More people in society are right-handed than left-handed, so you set the larger bottle to the right. Instinctively, they will grab for the larger bottle. Just out of their field of view is a smaller bottle, so you're selling more product. Yep. You also put the generic to the left because the brand name costs more money. It's got a higher gross profit.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Well, just try going to Walmart to buy a AA battery. See how that pans out for you.
Yeah, good luck. Let us know how it goes. So maybe these alien experiences are true. I'm really struggling with that because I don't want to ever come across as... I don't believe in non-believing. I believe in doing the research because there were people, plenty, that once thought the Earth was flat.
Mm-hmm.
And when told
There's actually some people that believe it today.
Yeah, there's still a flat Earth society. And And when it was shown, even from space, that the Earth was not flat, some people still believe it's flat. I don't want to be a flat earther, if that's a...
But, see, my thing is...
Unless, I don't want to be in anything. I want to do the research I want to find irrefutable evidence of abduction.
That's my thing. Or even just with the existence of aliens visiting us. I'm a firm believer that in this vast universe, there has to be other forms of life in other places, just by numbers.
Just by the sheer fact that we occupy a tiny little pinhead size compared to... I mean, it's a speck, really.
Yeah.
And what we know about that speck is growing every day. So the idea that we know everything about everything outside of the speck is just absurd.
Yeah, just to imagine how vast the universe is versus our spot in it.
Yeah. So the idea...
our minds can't even comprehend that. So
the idea is not, for me, it's not weird to grasp hold of that we're not alone, but they've defined species of aliens, and these people have defined which species abducted them.
Yeah, and
that just seems very specific to me.
A lot of times they track back to one species, but that could also be, is there a fulcrum where that species came to a head and then that species carried on? Like the Greys, the Zeta alien. That one just carried on. The Zeta alien could be, could track into our psyche through many ways. Its skin color and the way it's sunken in could be a dead body. You know, the gray, ashen color, the collapsed in on itself.
Okay. I didn't even think about that. So maybe it's just a part of our psyche.
A dead body. The large black eyes could be...
A manifestation
of... the skin drying and then...
peeling away.
And then the eyes are... If the eyes are still there, seem to sit in that socket without anything. Or when the eyes go away, you've got those big open black sockets.
Okay. Well, the Greys, as he speaks of, they're the most common of the alien races.
They really are.
And I wouldn't say the most common because they're the most seen, or they're the most common of the alien races because they are tied back in so many ways to most encounters that people speak of.
They are.
And if there's an alien abduction, it's generally done by a Grey.
Even if there's a different alien involved in it, like an Alpha Draconis or a Palladian or any other alien there's almost always a Zeta in the picture somewhere, either as a worker or a commander or as an engineer or as the medical staff doing it.
Interesting thought.
You never... Well, I can't say never, but you rarely hear about an abduction story where there isn't a Zeta involved, even when the main protagonist might be a different species.
Right. Well, and when it comes to descriptions of aliens, the Zeta really does have the most commonly described figure.
And the easiest to describe.
Face shape, the tiny nostrils, the really small mouth, the giant bulbous top of their head.
Yep, no ears.
The almond-shaped, giant black eyes. Mm-hmm. Those are all common descriptions. If people have had alien encounters, they all basically have that same description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all track back. Kind of an owl. You picture an owl's head. They look like a featherless owl's head. Big eyes, smaller beak, but then the body's always that of an emaciated human body.
Yeah, they generally only have like 3 to 4 fingers.
Yep.
Really long arms, really long legs. Now, they say that there's a couple types of Greys.
Yep.
One of them are the leaders, and they're the taller.
Yep, the tall Greys.
And then the worker Greys, they're only 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall.
Yep.
So they're like the little people of the Grey.
I've heard it explained that Greys are bioengineered, like they're kind of like biological androids, that they're bioengineered as a working species, a lot like if we were to bioengineer a biological human, we'd make them a little bit smaller, but we'd make them robust and so that they could carry tasks for us. and the tall ones are possibly what bioengineered them. But you hear stories again about greys being workers for other alien species.
Right, and it's like because they're the workers, they're the ones that are most commonly associated with abductions. I think because they're the ones that are abducting the people to take to the other aliens.
Yeah, the ones you'll make contact with. In Fire in the Sky, the Walton, in his book, he talks about a species coming in that he didn't recognize, and then it left because he was freaking out. And then either it or another species came in looking like a human, so it could calm him down so they could prod on him.
So maybe a Nordic or... So there's...
It could, or a gray that can shapeshift, or Alpha Draconian supposed to be able to shape. They all, in certain instances, can shapeshift to look like something else.
So I'm wondering if we come in contact with grays, all of us, but they no longer look like grays.
Like Rowdy Piper?
He could be a gray.
Or, well, he was in that, wasn't he in that show, They Live? And you put on the special glasses and you could see him?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it could be people that have more perception. I may be low on perception. I have no discernible supernatural experience outside of, past my adulthood to relay on where other people do. So my belief in supernatural is not there. Where other people have stories and instances, and that may just be a perception level.
So these grays, they come from the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, which is a binary star system visible from the southern hemisphere approximately 38 light years away. This star system consists of two stars, one slightly smaller than our own sun in the Milky Way, and the other almost the same mass as our sun. Both stars are much older than our own sun, at around 8 billion years old, and dying while our sun is in its middle age, around 4.5 billion years old. So, who decided that?
Yeah,
nobody's been to Zeta Reticuli.
Were they abducted and while they were screaming as they got
a probe shoved up their orifice?
Yeah, while they were the alien pointed to it on a map?
I just don't.
Telepathically told them that's where we're from?
I think the problem I have with aliens in general is it all seems so subjective. Subjective to the person who's... gravity is not subjective.
No.
Our sun is not subjective.
Nope, it's there.
And the fact that they claim that the grays come from Zeta Reticuli...
Bacon tastes better than kale is not subjective.
That's not subjective. That is fact.
Yep.
And they're saying that they come from this, which is 38 light years away. You've never been there. How do you expect lay people like me, who have never obviously been worthy enough of an abduction, to believe anything you say?
You sound disappointed enough.
Well, I am a little disappointed because I would believe it more had I been abducted.
Or believe it at all.
But yeah, or just believe it at all.
Yeah, and 38 light years. That means...
That's far, people.
If something was to happen to either of those suns, we would not know about it for 38 years.
Hello?
Yeah.
So, that's my first issue. Okay, fine. You can name anything you want. If I find a new species, I can name it whatever I want. If you actually found an alien and he was gray and you decided to call him a gray, I get that. But to then go on and say that it's from the stars, the Zeta Reticuli, 1 and 2, one's a binary star, blah, blah, blah. I just think you're reaching a little...
And they all have different backstories of their aliens.
Yes!
That Isley lady, her story is they're not from there. They're from an alternate dimension where a nuclear travesty happened on Earth. And it changed them. And because of that, they decided to genetically change themselves to do away with emotion and also to do away with sex, because apparently they're tied together. So they're cloning themselves. Well,
that guy in the news you just spoke of, he will attest to that they are.
Yes, they will. So they're taking humans and trying to crossbreed to gain back. So reproduce through cloning, but they're having issues with that, be it...
They've kind of damaged their DNA.
Yeah, they damaged their ability to do something, whatever it is. Maybe they don't have great artists anymore, or there isn't music, you know.
They don't know what bacon is.
They haven't converted to mumble rap. So
mumble rap.
So they're chasing a vision, and that's why they're taking humans and taking their eggs.
It would make more sense to me, it would be more credible if they would say, listen, we've had the experience, it was really weird, we've all had the same experience, but we don't know where they're from. We can just describe them to you. That has far more credibility to me than they live on the Zeta Reticuli. Well, they've lived through a Holocaust. They have psychic abilities. They love the taste of strawberries, and they paint their toenails pink. I don't believe you would have that information.
I would like to think that. Well, okay. So let's say you live in an island or the Amazon, and you've been disassociated from humanity's technological advances.
I want the direct coordinates of that.
And then
this place you speak of, I'm going there.
and then modern humans come and
they are aliens.
They would be aliens, and say they kidnap a few of you, which has happened in the recent past. I think during World War. Remember that island that Christian guy went to and got killed?
The difference is we all kind of look the same. I mean, like some of the aliens that they speak of look like praying mantises.
Oh yeah.
If we were to go kidnap these Amazonian people, but we're all on the same planet.
That could be explained by. We're all on the same planet. But so, I'm not using this as a justification, but it could be explained by a uniform or protective gear.
Okay. Or like those suits they wear for, like nuclear things.
Yeah. Or even
those are definitely aliens.
A Kevlar helmet with goggles on.
Total aliens.
I
agree.
Or just think if you're on that island where that Christian guy went to preach and got killed at a few months back.
By those
by a tribe.
A tribe of people who eat people.
And yes and no. That tribe had, during World War II, apparently had communication with British Armed Forces.
Oh.
The British Armed Forces came and took a couple of their youths, which made them mad, but also disease went through the island after that. And so they don't want any outsiders. They have no desire for outsiders.
They're like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Okay. So now just imagine if you had never seen someone in a Kevlar helmet with night vision goggles on. That would look shocking to you, wouldn't it?
Sure. And my account of that would be, okay, this guy showed up with a different type of skin and had big round black eyes where he
wore a uniform that was confusing. It wasn't leather, it wasn't...
Right. But my account would not be, and he comes from the star in the binary system known as blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's where it drifts away.
So it loses credibility because of the expansion of details. And perhaps they're receiving this expansion on details through telepathic communication or implantation of knowledge. I don't know. Nobody's ever said where they got this information from. And I've been watching, specifically looking, to find out how the crap that they're from binary system 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well,
tell us. If you have been there, please elaborate.
It would be interesting to find for sure the first time a gray alien was mentioned in the human psyche.
Boy, that would be rough. I mean, one of the oldest ones is the Betty and Barney Hill. That's back in the 60s, and that's not that long ago, but that's back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And they were one of the first peoples to describe these aliens.
After regressive memory therapy.
After hypnotic regressive memory therapy. The story at first was just something really strange happened, and it really could have been explained away a million ways, but...
You have to start out. They were an interracial couple when interracial couples weren't were
They were
frowned
not
upon by the
tolerated at all.
community.
Yeah.
And when he first talks about it, he thought it was a helicopter following them.
Correct.
So,
he pulled out his binoculars.
Yeah.
And the story did change. The story did change as more people got involved in trying to help him figure out what the story was.
Mm-hmm.
It did grow and change, and it's become one of the famous ones, which, by the way, if you look at famous list, that Rendlesham Forest thing's still on there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, again, I just feel like it's not like when they found the giant octopus in the deepest parts of the ocean and they pulled out the carcass and they held it up
measured it and laid it out.
Savannah. Mm-hmm. No, it's not like that. It's like they are defending a narrative that is one discovery away from being garbage.
They've hoisted their petard on something. They've decided this is going to be a lot of people, a lot of professionals.
We're not talking everyone has the IQ of like 14.
Yeah.
We are talking intelligent, thoughtful.
Emergency room doctors.
We're talking all walks of life. All walks of life. Professors and, philosophers and these deep, deep thinking people that have really grabbed a hold of this idea. And I want to believe the narrative. I can tell you in watching all of these videos, these people are both emotionally and academically committed to this dialogue.
Definitely financially committed. I mean...
Yes, and some of them are getting nothing but ridicule. They're not getting paid a lot of money. They're just getting ridiculed by both their family and people outside of their family, but they are invested. They are invested wholly in the idea that this happened to them. That bothers me and intrigues me. It bothers me that perhaps a therapist somewhere would have implanted such a horrible thing. I mean, if you're going to implant memories, let's do good ones. You had the best childhood, you ran through posies.
It could have been a therapist doing it on accident.
Therapists, you can't be led.
Maybe the practice of it is still so young that mistakes are made, that a format hasn't been built yet.
Perhaps.
So the therapist, their leanings draw out a certain idea, and then they keep feeding on that idea and feeding on it. And
everything I did some research on these hypnotic recessive therapy sessions, and in most cases there is a lengthy pre-interview that happens. During this pre-interview, the questions are, I would say, absurd. It's a list of questions that will give the therapist places that he can lead the conversation instead of just letting the conversation kind of flow and ebb as it will.
And honestly, is therapy supposed to be a conversation, or is it just supposed to be a scratching post for you? I think I would imagine therapy should just be a place where someone disconnected from you can hear your struggles and not judge or impugn on them.
Right.
And
I think hypnotherapy should fall under that same heading, where maybe they hypnotize you and just say, tell me about yourself.
Maybe hypnotism should not be involved in anything.
Unless it's real, like these grays. I know nothing. Okay, so if the grays are real and hypnosis is real and the earth actually is flat, I don't know. Because I feel like nobody's doing any real substantive research, and everyone.
But how can you research that?
I know.
How can you?
And it's not that people aren't trying, because the SETI program has been alive and well for a long time, and you can become a part of the SETI program anywhere you are in the world and watch your piece of the night sky for communication. And set up listening devices.
Yeah, most of it's listening. Most of them, they're just trying to hear any kind of communication.
Any kind.
That's broadcast in a direction that we can pick up at any time. Then you mark where it came from, and but it's just so vast. I mean, you've got a 360 degree times 360 degree that compounds itself. It's like any mistake on your aim. Like a millimeter on Earth just hitting the atmosphere becomes a quarter mile. Just reaching the moon becomes a full mile.
Yeah.
Just reaching the closest planet to us, Mars, would multiply again, and it just keeps multiplying. So it's an impossible task. But the research on aliens visiting us, you've got to go out and prove a negative. Prove where there is zero evidence. There's only the word of people. And I'm not saying these people are bad for saying this happened. I'm just saying, how do you prove that? How does that happen?
Right. And I think that's what I've been reaching for in all of this research, is show me something. And there are people who say... I just enjoy
the stories.
Yeah, they're fun. Well, no, they're not. They're horrible. They do horrible things to these people.
I just enjoy the stories. I don't put stock in them.
I want to put stock in them.
I don't right now. Until the stories are interesting. I've been chasing these stories for a long time. I find the fantasy part of it, just like with the world of the Fae. I find all of that just so interesting and beautiful, but I haven't put any stock in any of it.
Well, they say that Greys have had contact with high government officials in the past and present. Roswell, Area 51.
Oh, yeah.
And they basically said that the reason, these people that are researching this, I'm actually getting this from the UFO research website, and the reason we haven't gone back to the moon is because we've been told by these Greys not to do it.
Yeah, that's a DMZ type situation.
Yeah. Interesting thought.
But then you've got the story, like Miss Isley says, that we have secret bases on the dark side of the moon, and we have a space navy, and when she was in the Air Force, that's where she was stationed.
Do you think Donald Trump is a Grey? Because he wanted to build a spaceport.
Maybe that's why he's got so much orange?
Could be. Well, maybe he's wearing too much human makeup to cover up his gray skin.
It might be. Maybe his gray skin's starting to bleed through the fake skin, so they orange him. I don't know. You'd think an interplanetary species would know how to Twitter better, but then again,
maybe they don't.
His Twitter draws a lot of attention.
So maybe it's intentional.
Uh-huh.
Intentionally.
Honestly, I think that's where I would lean.
Yeah, intentionally low key.
Yeah, intentionally high key. Intentionally drawing attention and getting the media riled up.
Yeah, unintelligible.
Well, I do think a lot of the stuff he says and does is intentional to get reaction. He's definitely a provocateur, a person that draws reactions out of both those who like him and those who don't. Just watching that, you see reactions nonstop. Mm-hmm. He has been on there. I promise you, there has not been one day where he hasn't been mentioned on any given news show, channel, hour. There has not been one.
And they say any news is good news when it comes to trying to keep your name out there and your face out there. And
he made it to president because he made sure he was mentioned on all of the news all of the time.
He might be a Grey.
He might be a Grey. He might also be someone who understands how to use the media.
Very interesting. So, as the first show in what I would guess would be several alien shows, the Greys out the gate, probably most well known.
Most well known, most popular.
It's if you think of an alien, close your eyes, think of any story you've heard about an alien, minus the kind of limey colored skin. It's basically...
If someone jumped in and started telling you an alien story, the Greys would be what popped into your head first.
Right.
That would be first what popped into your head, and then you might add some more to it. But then again, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the aliens were dolphins.
Well, we could be surrounded by aliens. Your cat is an alien.
Yeah, my cat is crazy. Is he still in your bag? No,
he's split.
He's off and about somewhere. I have an extremely smart, extremely friendly cat that is weird.
He's an alien. I don't think he's a Grey, though.
No, he's not a Grey.
He's definitely not a worker cat.
Ooh, wonder if there's feline aliens.
See, these are the things I need to know.
Yeah, because we got lizard aliens.
We do have lizard aliens.
Insectoid aliens.
Those creep me out, but yes.
We have Nordics, which are human aliens, just taller and beautiful.
I know a few.
Yeah,
I hate them all.
they're all on the
They're so beautiful
screen.
and yeah.
We've got, what other types of aliens have we heard of? There's lots of them. We're going to go through them. Today we're opening up with the Greys. You can expect soon we're going to have other aliens popping out, and we're going to post some alien stories.
So, you'll have an opportunity to leave us a review, send us an email with your name and address. Don't leave your name and address on the review.
Yes.
But just leave us a review.
Leave your name on the
wherever
review,
you listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
Subscribe as a follower, and
we're trying our hand at this new experience. But yes, please rate and review us. Give us feedback. I know we keep promising the website's going to get better, and as soon as we learn how, it will get better. We're still learning how.
Yeah.
Neither of us are even close to adepts at computer and internet and all that. But thank you for listening. Subscribe, rate, review. That's the best thing you can do for us. Second best thing, give us feedback. We want to know how to become better. We want to put out a show that you enjoy.
And if you or you know anyone who has had or been abducted by an alien, please, we want to hear from you.
We'll keep it anonymous, or we can put your name out there if you want. Also, ghost stories, ghost stories, ghost stories.
Yeah, ghosts and aliens.
Yes. Look out for the next show next week, and we'll see you then. Have a good week.
Have a great week.